welcome. So, Foodie Beauty is taking a bit of a break today. I reacted to her last video where she was raging at FFG and Charlie Gold, and she's not done anything since then. So, I thought I'd check in with Miss Amberlynn Reid and see how she's doing because I do occasionally cover her. I have been peeking in on her content, and she did a video called Final B Moment. We got to call it the B Moment because of YouTube monetization. Final B Moment diagnoses update. Going back on medication, and I might be suffering with PTSD. So she did a vlog, and I've got some thoughts about that. For anyone who might be watching this video, who might be a Amberlynn Reid subscriber or viewer, you guys don't know me? Let me give you a little backstory. I am someone that I have suffered with BED. I suffered with it for 6 years. I'm in recovery. So when I'm watching Amber, I'm watching from that perspective of somebody who's been on that side of the fence and finally got to the other side. So watching Amber, I don't see someone who's really ready to turn things around. She's not ready. Watching her videos, I hear a lot of excuses. I hear a lot of wordplay and minimizing what's going on. When you are in the mindset of minimizing what's going on rather than facing all of it, you're essentially running from it, you're escaping, and you're not ready to make true change. But I wanted to react to her video and give my thoughts. So let me just go ahead and share the screen so you guys can see and hear what's going on. So there's Amber. I'm not going to react to all of her vlog because she covers other things other than what's going on with her. Sorry, excuse me. So let me just go ahead and turn her vlog on and we'll get started.
So it has been a few hours since you guys last saw me. I did have some really cute lipstick on. This lipstick literally has like a cat. But I just finished my second therapy and I really want to make it a priority, unless I forget or I'm busy or something, to just like talk about it real quick right after it happens. It is online, like through telehealth. It's because that's the only way that he actually does it. So it's not because I like chose that. It's just because that's how he does it, which is totally fine. I personally love this therapist. So this appointment, actually, we talked a lot.
I really hope that she sticks with this therapist because she did say she had a psychologist or a therapist. I'm kind of confused, Amber. The other person you spoke about, you said that they were amazing, but then you stopped going to that person. Why is that? If you find a doctor or a therapist or a psychologist that you're getting along really well with and they're giving you a lot of help, why would you not go back to that person? I really would like the answer to that question because that does confuse me because just finding someone that you vibe with is kind of hard. You did find someone and then you dropped them.
A lot about do I have binge eating? What's really my food problems? And what can we do to help with that? So I do not binge.
Okay. Okay. Amber, you're using that minimizing language again. You're right on par with someone who perhaps they have a drinking problem and they try to minimize it, saying it's not that bad. I just have a few drinks. It's not that bad. You minimize it. When you don't want to completely face it and deal with it, you minimize it. You try to minimize it by using different language or creating thoughts in your head where you're saying, it's not that bad. I'm not at that level. I'm not like those people. You are that person. You are that person. Maybe in your mind, if you are not sitting down with a whole spread of food and having a official B moment, that means you don't have B moments. But even if you don't have B moments like that, even if it's just overeating, mama, it's still bad. It's still bad. Whether you're sitting down and eating 10,000 calories at once or 5,000 calories 1 hour and then 5,000 another, girl, you're still eating 10,000 calories. Do you not get that? The math is still the math. The calories still add up. You're still gaining weight. You still have a problem with food. Understand that. Just because you might hear about, oh, a B moment is a whole spread of food and you're not doing that, doesn't mean that you're not overeating frequently. And those are like mini B moments. You're still overeating, you're still gaining the weight, and you are still very much unhealthy. And I have heard that your current weight is now 524 pounds or 523 pounds. That's entirely too much. So you might want to cut it out with the minimizing language. It's really, really not helping you.
Therapist said so. I say so. I have had issues and I was very vocalized with this, about this, very honest about this. In 2019, I had binging problems. I don't eat that way anymore. I don't have that same mind frame around food anymore. But I think this topic is just safer off of my channel because I know a lot of people have different thoughts about it and it's just safer if I don't talk about it. But I am not a binge eater. I do not have binge eating disorder. And
You know what I think? I think that you are declaring yourself as someone that you don't have BED because it might relate to your surgery. You have been trying to seek out a surgeon or a doctor that will give you the WLS. But even if you don't have BED, even if you are an overeater, even if you want to classify yourself as that, you still shouldn't have WLS. Because when you have WLS, Amber, it's a complete lifestyle change. You have to change your life before the surgery. You have to continue to change it after the surgery is over. Even if you try to say, I don't have BED, can you deal with going on a liquid diet for about 2 weeks before the surgery? Because I don't think you can do it. And that's not me being a hater. That's me being real over here. If you are still overeating, if you're not trying to cut back on your portions and your food and get your body used to smaller amounts, you're not ready. You're not ready physically. You're not ready mentally. You're not ready emotionally. That's a complete lifestyle change. It's not like a diet you pick up and leave off later. No, it's a complete lifestyle change. So I think you talk to doctors and surgeons, and they flat out told you no for the surgery with you having BED. So now here you are trying to claim that you don't have BED anymore in hopes, perhaps, that you'll find a surgeon or a doctor who will give you the surgery if you keep saying it enough to enough people. But the words aren't going to change your life. Putting the work in is what's going to change you. It's what's going to make a difference.
and obviously it's taken some time to realize that because with someone my size, I mean, I overeat, obviously. I mean, you don't become this size by just like kind of overeating, you know. It's not how it works. Anyway.
So here's my logic. You are 523 pounds. Just to maintain that weight, you have to eat X amount of calories, which are entirely too much. If you were eating less than that, you would start losing weight. If you were eating less calories, you would start dropping weight like crazy. I am a 52-year-old woman. I'm 5'4". I'm not quite sure how tall you are, but a healthy amount of calories per day for me would be about 1,800 to 2,000 calories. and I'm at 130 something pounds. So I don't know if you're very tall, Amber, but what amount of calories are you eating per day that you're able to maintain 523 pounds and you keep gaining? Whatever it is, it's probably double or triple what I'm eating. If you just cut back on the calories and eat more healthy foods, you would lose weight without the surgery.
Anyways, so we talked about like, why am I this size? What is my issues with food? How do I have a better relationship with food? And I turn to food for comfort. It's that simple.
Boom. There it is. You just said it. And I'm glad you said it. I am really glad you said that. So you just confessed you're an emotional eater. I have experience with that too, Amber. So I understand you have emotional issues tied up with food. You might use food to cope with sadness or depression or loneliness or boredom. You are an emotional eater. That's part of BED, mama. It's still in that avenue, it's still in that neighborhood, and it's still bad for you when you have your emotions tied up with food. And for anyone who might be watching this video that perhaps you have BED or perhaps you're an emotional eater, while I'm here, can I just share something that might help you with that? Help you get on the other side of it. It took me 6 years to figure this out, but you don't have to wait that long in order to figure it out yourself. I was an emotional eater. I had BED. One of the key things with overeating or emotional eating or BED, you have to take all emotional anchors off of food. You can't put them on food. The only job that food has is to give you energy to go out into the world and do things. That's its only job. But if you put emotional anchors on food, if you're looking at it as a source of comfort for your sadness or depression, to calm you down in times of anger, or to combat boredom, you got to get those anchors off. You just have to. You can't use food as a callback to happier times or nostalgia or to remind you of somebody that you were once in love with or that loved you, like, say, a relative or a friend. All emotional issues, you got to take those anchors off, completely off. Here's another key element. You have to give food the respect it deserves. You can't go nuts with it. Here's another one. If you're someone and food is your only source of happiness or love or joy, if that's the only thing you look forward to in life, if you want to combat a problem with food or perhaps another addiction you might have in your life, if food is, or whatever addiction is, all you have to look forward to, you have to find something or a group of things to replace what gives you joy in a toxic way. Example, if food is your only comfort, if it's your only source of love, if it's your only source of joy, try replacing that joy with actual joy, with something positive, like something artistic, painting or sculpting or writing or a new hobby that you get a sense of accomplishment and joy out of it. If food or anything else that might be of an addiction nature is a huge source of joy or pleasure or love in your life, you have to find something equally as large, if not larger, to push it out. And here's Amber. She has just confessed to emotional eating. And she's trying to say, I don't have BED, but you have emotional eating. That's still bad. That still means you're eating too much food. You're not only maintaining your weight, you're gaining more. It's still harmful. no matter what subset it is, you're still wrapped up in it. And you're talking about surgery, which you don't need. If you are emotionally eating even now, Amber, back away from that surgery. There's a reason why the doctors and therapists and psychologists are telling you no. Because if you were to go through the surgery, mama, you wouldn't make it out on the other side. Or even if you did, the consequences would be dire. You would have a moment where you overeat and it would be disastrous. You might make yourself ill. You might bust the staples in your stomach. It would not be pretty.
If I'm feeling any sort of negative emotion, I want to eat, because while I am eating, I do not feel those negative emotions at all.
Right. Been there, did that. Not to trigger anyone, I apologize if I do, but just to share a little bit. When I had my BED, I actually got addicted to my stomach being full. I constantly wanted to eat and have my stomach full, because if my stomach was full, it was a distraction from my negative emotions. So I would constantly eat. And I would get to that point where I would eat and I would get ticked off because I could not eat anymore. And I would wait a few minutes, feel that little pocket of space in my stomach, and fill it back up. That's how bad it can get. And I didn't even know I had a problem with food until one day I had a wake up moment. It scared me that I could literally eat and bust my stomach. And that's when I started to really try to figure it out. So you're an emotional eater, Amber. That's still bad. That's still very, very, very bad. If you are an emotional eater, the surgery is not for you and should not be for you until you unravel the prickly snowball that is BED, emotional eating, and your emotions. You got to separate the two, completely separate. You have to keep them apart. Don't combine them together. You gotta do it. And it's got to be done for a while before surgery is a thing.
So I love this therapist because something I've never had before was someone explaining to me like the most popular emotions, popular, that's for the lack of a better term, the most used emotions that humans feel on a day-to-day basis. And where do we feel them in our body? Like, where's our physical symptoms of them? What is our emotional symptoms of them, et cetera, et cetera. So they want me to journal, which I love doing, jot down times where right before a moment where I want to turn to food for comfort, exactly what am I feeling? What are the emotions? Where do I feel them in my body? How do I feel them mentally? What is the scenario? Why am I also feeling these ways? And I think it's going to help me a lot. This was a very educational therapy session, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I was dreading therapy at first, and I was even super honest with him. I was like, I was dreading therapy and everything about it. But now that I've been to only 2 sessions, I think I'm looking forward to the third, because before this session, you guys did not see this, but I had massive anxiety. It wasn't about therapy as a whole, partially, but it was just about everything. Everything felt scary. I have been suffering so bad, and I need to go back on medicine. That is why I scheduled a psychiatrist appointment, because the medicine I was taking, it just wasn't working anymore. So I was told to stop taking it, so I did stop taking it, and now my anxiety is it's not good, obviously. So I am going to be put back on medicine. I am going to feel so relieved when that happens, but my appointment's not for another like 2 weeks, the soonest I could be seen, which is fine. So until then, I'm really going to take advantage of these next few therapy sessions just to understand my emotions more, and why do I feel the need to turn to food to comfort those emotions. And I don't know, I feel really good.
I can answer that question for you. I mean, I'm not you, So I can't look inside of you and look inside your brain to see what's going on there. But I can give you some possible insight into the emotional eating. Food is safe. Food is safe, meaning you feel safe with it. We as people, we don't look at food as being anything dangerous or anything harmful. That's how my BED, emotional eating, snuck up on me. The irony. I grew up in an environment where I saw people that were drinking, taking illicit drugs, and I swore to myself I would never do those things, and I never did. But the food problem snuck up on me from behind, snuck up on me completely. And then I realized I had a problem with food. I'm like, guess I got to fix it. uh, but if you've got emotional problems or issues, if you've got negative thoughts, you feel like food is a safe place to hide. It's comforting. It's around you. It's there. It's much easier to reach for a cupcake than it is to open up with people and bare your soul and tell them what's wrong with you and have that confrontation moment with yourself of realizing that you've got issues and you're trying to work them out. It can be quite scary because you feel vulnerable. And food is just, food doesn't ask any explanations, it doesn't judge. That's the danger of it. Also, the problem with food is that if you've got a problem with food, food is everywhere. It's legal. It's in every gas station, every convenience store, every grocery store. It's everywhere. You can go to the grocery store and buy 24 pints of ice cream and nobody's going to stop you. And the tricky thing about food is that unlike other, say, illicit substances, you have to keep taking food. You can't go without it. So where other things you can go without, food you can't go without. So the big question that I struggle with for over 6 years is how do I stop an addiction to something, a problem with something, if I have to keep consuming it? And the answer was you have to look at food a different way. You have to treat food with respect. You have to treat it the way it's supposed to be treated. You can't give it more responsibility than what it's supposed to have. It took me a long time to figure that out. And she's got to figure it out too.
And we want to talk more about like PTSD because of the things that I've been through in the past, like my childhood. I have been told by almost every single therapist I've had that I show a lot of signs of PTSD, and that's a topic that never is easy. I don't even like talking about it now. It gives me like a lot of like unwanted feelings, but that is that appointment. It went really well. Of course, it's hard. It's not a walk in the park, but it's going to be worth it in the end. So Feline is currently cooking dinner. So if you hear sizzling manizzling, that's what's happening. We're doing like an Easter moment, okay? Where we both got each other some stuff. It's like an adult Easter basket without the basket. I just walked out for my appointment and look at the goodies. Babe. Oh my gosh, you got me some cute socks.
You know, I'm not trying to crap on Amber spending her money on anything besides food, but I am recognizing something here. Amber, you tend to be impulsive and you're looking for the quick fix. You're looking for the quick burst of happiness and joy, buying things for people, having people buy things for you. You know, it's something to get your attention off of food for a minute. I recognize this. You know, if you're looking for the quick happiness, you know, like distracting yourself by buying things. A lot of people do it. Okay, a lot of people do the shopping therapy. You know, it's a thing, but it's nothing meaningful. Unfortunately, with the shopping therapy, the happiness does not last long. It will not last long. You know, you feel good for like half a minute. Oh, I got something new. And then the happiness is over. And then you have to buy something else. Like I do remember you showing people your entire earring collection. You were into buying tons and tons and tons of candles and journals. You know, that was you distracting yourself. Like you can't do much. So let's get into all buying physical things. Can I just give a recommendation? Something you may not be aware of. If you exercise, even low impact cardio, your brain has feel good chemicals in it, the dopamine and whatnot. If you exercise, you can feel better. You know, you get that blood pumping, you feel good about what you're doing, you get the dopamine going on. You can get much more reward out of that than anything physical at a store you can buy. But I do see a calligraphy pen set. Hey, I am all for you being artistic, but I feel sad at the same time because I don't know if you're really going to stick with that.
Wait a minute. I'm gonna look at all this and then I'll show you guys which, like, you can't be stressed squeezing on one of those. Like, needed a new perfume, so I got her Guess Seductive. She loves hats, so I got her one of those with a.
So you're still doing the shopping therapy. You're buying all this stuff. It's just such a shame that you're not going out and buying things that relate to your physical health. Again, you're taking the easy path. Let me buy all these bubbles and things that look nice, but none of that has anything to do with your getting healthier, losing weight. It's all about, let me just buy stuff that looks nice on the shelf.
A little ghosty. She loves face masks.
Okay, what else we got here?
You have no idea how hard it was for me to choose a color.
No, this is perfect.
Just like happened. Heart, this is like right up my alley. Oh my god, this is beautiful. The LM collection. Please, you guys, check out this website. Thank you so much, Kiana. Here we have another package.
Okay, so you know what? This is going to be a short one. I just want to cover what's going on with Miss Amber today. Because the whole BED thing, emotional eating, that's close to my heart. It's something that I've been dealing with, or have dealt with, excuse me. And I hope you turn it around, Amber. I really do. But another thing that is going to make things complicated is the fact that you are on YouTube, and in a way, you're monetizing your problem. This is part of your content. So in order to get completely healthy, you're going to have to take it completely off your channel. You know what I mean? You're not going to be able to monetize being super morbidly obese and healthy anymore. You've got to go the opposite way. So what do the people have to say about this video? Let's cover the comments. Says, I like how she actively leaves in the be moment question, but doesn't answer it. She knows, one, she can't admit there was never a bee monster, because that would mean she was deliberately mean, abusive to her parents when she didn't get something she wants. And two, she knew that's all that people are going to talk about, more drama. Yeah, so if you don't have any more bee moments, Amber, how did you get over the bee moments? You never really explained that. How did you go from having what you consider bee moments to emotional eating? How did you stop that? You never really went into that. I think you're still having bee moments. It's just that in your mind, you've kind of justified it, played around with it, doing the mental gymnastics and saying, oh, because I'm not, say, putting 20 dishes of something in front of me, it's just 5. It's not a bee moment. There are many different kinds of bee moments, y'all. You can have somebody who's grazing all day, just one thing after the next thing, after the next thing, after the next thing, and that's a B moment. You can have somebody putting 5 dishes of something in front of them, and 30 minutes later they do it again. That's a B moment. There's all kinds. There's no one size fits all. I think she's still having them, and she's just trying to call it emotional eating because that in her mind that just feels better. She thinks she's making some progress. But if you're 523 pounds and if you're not losing weight, apparently there's something wrong there and it needs to be fixed. Yana says, you can claim all you want that you don't be and that you truly changed your ways. A 15 pounds gain in 2 months doesn't happen on its own. No, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. If you're gaining that amount of weight in 2 months, Amber, that's not good. Liliana says, I am extremely concerned about being undiagnosed with BED in 2 therapy sessions and how this will look when she gets WLS. This isn't hate. This is genuinely concern. What I said a little while ago, I think when she came forward to the doctors and she said, yes, I do have BED. And they straight up said, no, we're not doing surgery on you. It would be dangerous. It would be stupid. You're going to have to be free for about a year. That's when she changed the tune. That's when she changed the record. Suddenly she's not having B moments. She's just emotionally eating. If that's true, Amber, that's still bad. Because once you get that surgery, you can't eat like that. You can't do emotional eating. That would be emotionally, physically disastrous. You're going to make yourself physically ill. You might cause yourself a trip to the hospital. The budgeting bee says, girl, it's really hard to take you seriously. I've tried, we've tried, but anything you say contradicts evidence from former videos. Goth Mama says, again, saying she officially does not have BED. She's going back on anxiety meds, more shopping hauls of random clutter, journal talk, P.O. box, voice memos of piddly questions that seem very filtered, minus one about being a bee monster that she didn't even respond to. Well, I'm not a doctor. I'm no one with medical training. If it's the bee monster or emotional eating, you got a problem with food, Amber. You are not ready for surgery. Not at all. Even if you are an emotional eater, I would still say you need at least a year free of emotional eating before you even think about surgery. I think you're in a position where you want people to agree with you and give you what you want. But those that know better, those that have the training and the skills, they know the outcome of giving you the surgery right now. They're denying you. And you're like a little kid saying, I don't want to hear that. I want the answers that I want, and I'm not going to accept any different. That's why you've been doctor shopping in Mexico. Girl, stop. They're looking out for you. They don't want you, something tragic to happen to you on an operation table. Or you to come home after the surgery and then you end up with a ruptured stomach. Mudflap Girl says, ALR saying it's overeating and not a bee is like when people say a roach is a water bug. No, girl, it's a roach. Exactly. Exactly. Call it what you want. Paint it a different color, but it's still what it is. Emotional eating, bee moments, same thing. Doesn't matter. If you load up an entire table surface with food, or you're lightly grazing all day from one thing to the next thing, or you just put 5 dishes in front of you and an hour later do it again, it's still a problem. It needs to be addressed. You are still on that roller coaster, strapped in, ready to climb up to the top and then come back down. And surgery is only appropriate when you're off the roller coaster. You got to be off for quite a while. She's not there. Corky says, someday I hope you find the joy of minimalism in your life. Everything you do is in excess. Eating, buying, getting diagnoses, collecting. You don't need so much. How can I say this? She's got the mind of a child, you know. She does. She's got the mind of a child. And she's just gravitating from one thing to the next thing, looking for quick gratification, whether it's food or shopping, just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know, she's got to stop and deal with herself. You know, seeking out temporary joy in things that the joy's not going to last for long. And that's why she just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You know, oh, I get joy in food. Oh, let me go shopping. Oh, let me buy a new journal. Oh, let me buy some new candles. Oh, let me do this. Let me do that. Amber, just stand still and deal with yourself. Be smart about yourself. You know, stop with the gratification, pleasurable distractions. Because that's what this is. You distract yourself with food. You distract yourself with shopping. Girl, cut it out. You're just wasting your money. Sweater Vest says, I might have a new diagnosis situation. There'll never be not a new diagnosis situation. She thrives on it. Suffer, suffer, suffer. Suffer massively with suffering massively. I've said she was an overeater, not a B person for years while she screamed, I have BED. I can't control it. I'm possessed. But yeah, apparently I was just being rude, I guess. Still a problem with food no matter what you call it. Megan says there are at least 3 years of her showing us B moments. This is awful. Yeah. And I pulled up videos of her using food and her issues with food as the thumbnail. Her like putting food in her mouth. She monetizes her problem with food. And if you are trying to get on the other side of that, you can't do that. You can't monetize your problems. You got to deal with them. CM says, that's so convenient. How after you told us not to be, that's so convenient. How after you told us to not be for a year in order to get what you want, suddenly you never be anymore and don't even have BED. Yeah, because the doctors are telling her, look, we're not going to operate on you if you have B moments. So suddenly she doesn't have it. You know, it's her switching the language around, trying to get what she wants. Brandon Hill says, don't worry. She will be back to using the B moment excuse when this WLS season is over and she wants to eat an entire package of cookies. She will say she was misdiagnosed with a misdiagnosis. The truth is, no matter how she wants to label it, she is a narcissist, lazy person with no self-control or understanding of consequences. I agree. You know, like if she has a B moment, she's going to come on camera and say, I couldn't help it. You guys know I'm impulsive and I couldn't control myself. Well, if you can't control yourself, then you shouldn't have the surgery. How about that? Shouldn't be doing it. If you're lacking in self-control, where you can't stop yourself from doing those harmful behaviors, you're nowhere near ready, Amber. Not at all. Fat Heifer says, remember when she went outside? Remember when she waddled? Remember when she showed her girlfriends? Remember when she rode her Scooty Puff? Remember when she went shopping? Remember when she actually engaged in activities? Remember when she was under 500 pounds? Yeah, I do. And a lot of people do. You know, if you look at Amber's content and Foodie's content, if you really go back to the beginning of both their channels, they both have a very they have a lot of similar parallels. They really do, because put their videos side by side from the beginning. They both were much more active at the time that they started their channels. They were out there doing more, they were talking to people. And then over time, as they got on YouTube and started making those YouTube paychecks, they started to change. They became less active. They went out a lot less. They just became sequestered in their houses, just eating and too focused on the YouTube paychecks. And it started out with Chantal being smaller in size than Amber. And now essentially they're at the same size. They're both in the 500-pound range. And they both have arrived in the same place. They're making the money on YouTube, but where do they go? What do they do? They've traded 100% of their health for a YouTube paycheck, but they're not happy for it. You traded all of your health for a YouTube paycheck, Amber, but are you really enjoying it? I don't think you are. I don't think you're enjoying the money anymore. I think you're just maintaining. And there's a difference between maintaining something and enjoying something. Go back to the beginning of your channel, Amber. Watch your beginning videos. That was the person that a lot of people fell in love with. You know, the giggly, silly, quirky, weird girl that danced and did silly things. That was the Amberlynn Reid that everybody got into. And then over time, you've pretty much ruined yourself. You're making money on YouTube, but for what? To buy knickknacks and journals and earrings and other baubles. But what does any of that mean? Is any of that really giving you any kind of real pleasure or gratification? No, they're just distractions. You're distracting yourself from thinking about the fact that you're not really happy. You know, I'm not being rude here, but you've essentially made yourself your own prisoner of your own body. You carry your prison cell around you. All of that weight stops you from going out, being active, doing things. You carry your own prison cell around you, and it's only getting worse. It's hindering your breathing, it's hindering your movement. You can get out of that cell anytime you want. You can fix it, you can change it. It's all up to you. But using that language of, I'm just an emotional eater, I'm not a bee monster. Girl, you can't lie to one of your own. You got a problem with food. You haven't gotten it under control. If you have, you would have lost weight by now. You're gaining weight. Don't matter what you call it. A problem is a problem. So keep doing those emotional gymnastics if you want to. They're not going to fix anything. Let's see. I think her biggest problem is she feels sorry for herself too much. She just wallows in self-pity. I think that's true, but I also think part of the problem is she's too busy monetizing what's wrong with her for her channel right now. Like, that is the arc for Amber. That she and Chantal, they both have arrived at the same place. They have no new ideas. They have no true consistent content. So let's monetize the hurt. Hurt is her content. Let me tell everybody what's wrong with me, yet not fix it. Even though I'm making money on YouTube and I could fix it, I could devote myself to my physical, mental, and emotional health. I've got the time, I've got the space, I can really work on this and go full throttle with it. She's too busy making it into content. So if she's making something into content, will she ever fix her problems? No, she'll forever be the walking wounded. Let's see. Sarah says, what happened to the bee monster is a legitimate question. We heard about her for years. Then, right as you need her to go away so you can get surgery, she disappears. It's almost like you were lying. Yeah, she is. Suddenly, I don't have this problem. Oh, it's not me. You know, you know what she's doing? I just got this visual picture in my head. Somebody who is filling out an application for a job, and they put an answer, and then they find out the employer doesn't like that answer. So what they're doing is they're trying to take some white out and get rid of it and write something else real quick. That's Amber. Like, oh, this is really going to hurt me on my resume, so let me just get rid of this. That's what she's doing with her problem. Oh, it's not that bad. I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. It's something else. Yeah. A problem is a problem, Amber, no matter what you call it. And I'll just go on record as saying this. I think when it was profitable for her to say that she had B moments on YouTube, then it was okay. But now that YouTube is not monetizing B moments and she's dealing with doctors, they're saying B moments, no surgery for you. Suddenly the language is changing. Allie says, I don't eat that way anymore. Then how are you still over 500 pounds with no change? Yeah. How is that possible? At the size you are, Amber, if you were to cut down on your portions, you would start losing weight, like immediately. You would. You would lose the weight. But if you are not losing and you're actually gaining, something's up. Something is definitely up. Shauna says, not a bee eater, but gained 20 pounds in a few weeks. Right. Makes total sense. That means she's eating not only the calories to maintain 500 pounds, but she's overeating that amount. Whatever that is, I don't know how much it would take to maintain 500 pounds. But whatever it is, she's eating that and more. Okay, here we go. This is informational. Shane Rhodes says, as a licensed therapist, there are two kinds of B moments, objective and subjective. Objective is your typical textbook DSM B moment. Subjective could be any amount of food that is still accompanied by the feelings that subjective B's moments come with: guilt, shame, hiding it, eating in secret, etc. I love that you put that there, Shane. Thank you so much. So it goes on par with what I said. It doesn't matter if you eat a whole bunch of food at once or you're grazing all day, it's still a B moment. And if you're using it for the same reasons, they're essentially the same. If you're emotionally eating all at once or throughout the day, it's still a problem. Still a problem. Zhang says, I must have missed something. What is the difference between bee eating and emotional overeating? They're really, well, the picture is normally like you eat a whole bunch of food at once. You're just going nuts. And emotional eating is when you're just eating something to cope with your feelings, with your thoughts, to calm yourself down. You're eating when you're sad. You eat when you're angry. She suffers from both. They're both intertwined. Bree says, nobody your size isn't a bee monster. And I know you want the surgery as quick as possible. So now you're trying to backtrack on the whole bee monster disorder. But the more you are honest with yourself, the more you will have long-term success. Yeah, and she's not ready to be completely honest. She's still like trying to use tricky language, trying to get her way. So if she's not ready for full honesty, she's not ready for a life change of any kind or surgery. Addie says, I've been in monthly therapy since 2016. It took months for my therapist to really get to know me and give me a solid answer to my problem. I think she's not in therapy. If she is, then she's not actually taking anything serious from it. She's using this WLS BS to create content because she has nothing else going on for her these days. That might be the case. She needs a topic of conversation. So I guess this is it. Because if she were taking it seriously, there'd be some changes and she would show them to us. So you know what? That's enough of the comments. You can see the people on her channel, they're not buying what she's trying to sell. I'm not buying what she's trying to sell. I'm not buying it for a minute. I see right through her. Amber, your health is your health. And it's so sad that you sold 100% of your health for a YouTube paycheck. But the only person that can help you with your health is you. If you don't care about it, then don't expect anybody else to care as much or at all. You can be whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. You have the power. You've got the resources. It's just a matter of really buckling down and doing what you need to do. But if you're going to find excuses to your problems rather than solve them, then your misery is your misery. Don't expect people to feel sorry for you or pity for you or understand you, because I really don't. Like, if you have a problem or with food or any other addiction, it is your own personal private hell. And you have to make the decision, do I want to get out of that hell or don't I? And I'm watching you, I'm listening to you. I don't really see someone who's committed to getting out of it. I see someone who's gotten comfortable walking around in that space, really comfortable, almost too comfortable. You'll get on camera and you'll complain about it, you'll talk about it, but you don't want to fix it. So maybe the only thing I take away from your content is you are too busy talking about your hurt and monetizing your hurt, and that is your arc right now, and you're not interested in making it different. So we'll see what happens in the future. It's really all up to you. You're the only one that has the power to fix it. So that's it for this React video. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you have, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. Thank you so much for being here today, and have a good one. Bye-bye.